it was shocking to me. He sat there with his legs crossed, smoking his pipe. And I went home that evening after the day, and I was in tears, and I said to my husband, it's over, he's going to fire me. He hates me, he doesn't want me anyway, and I got no direction. I don't know what I did. I'm not sure what I did. And the next day, I didn't have to shoot, so he got to see the film, that I had shot the day before. And I got a telephone call that night, and he said, Shirley, it's Richard Brooks. I said, uh-oh, here it comes. He's going to say, it's your finish, kid. And he said, it's Richard Brooks. And I said, yes. And he said, I owe you an apology. He said, not only are you going to be great in this film, but I predict you're going to win an Academy Award. And that was the beginning of a friendship and a relationship with Richard that went on. I went on to do the happy ending, as you know, with Jean as well. Dear Jean, what a wonderful lady. We'll all miss her so much.
She was wonderful in this movie, too.
Oh my God. Extraordinary.
Yeah.
Why she didn't get a nomination for this,
Yeah.
I don't know. I never did understand it. There were nominations everywhere except for her, and I was in shock when that happened.
What was it like working with her? And of course, how many have seen the happy ending? This is the problem with this is it's not on DVD, and it should be. I mean, it's on tape, VHS, but it's an extraordinary movie, 1969. It's where the song "What Are You Doing the Rest of Your Life" actually came
Exactly
from.
right, absolutely.
And you were wonderful with her in it.
Yeah, I played her friend, and also a call girl, once again. a very sort of wealthy one. Lloyd Bridges was my mentor in it. And
she was terrific.
She was terrific in that, and she was in everything. I mean, she was so good and so wonderful to work with. When I heard that she had passed away, I was really very saddened, as I am, because Jean was a true professional and fun. She had a great sense of humor, and we used to laugh. And Bobby Darin, by the way, was in the happy ending. I was telling my husband earlier. And I knew Bobby, I saw his first performance when he performed at, I believe, the Macombo or one of the big clubs here. And went to Vegas to see him, and we became friends. Well, he fell in love with Jean in that movie. And of course, Richard Brooks was the director and the writer and her husband. But it was so cute because Bobby would come up to me and say, Shirley, talk to her. See if I can be alone with her for 2 minutes. Just talk to her, please, Shirley. Please. It was really very sweet. And I said to her one point, I said, he has the biggest crush on you, Jean. She said, I know, but, he's very sweet, but. But she was so great. And I saw her many times after that. I mean, we were, matter of fact, I believe it was at the Academy when they had a special salute for Mr. Brooks, Richard Brooks, and I got up and I spoke about him, and he was there. It was right before he passed away, actually. He was in a wheelchair at that point. And Jean was with him. Even though they were divorced, they stayed very, very close as friends, And I talked about him, and I talked to her about him, and we stayed close as friends as well. She's a wonderful lady.
Wow. What's so great, too, is to see a pristine print like this and to see those close-ups of you and her, and the way they shot this picture, that scene where you're on the bed after you've been beaten up.
Yes,
I mean,
I know. Really so great. It was just, it was really wonderful for me to see it again. I've often said to anybody who's never seen the film, it holds up so beautifully. I mean, it's a film that we would all feel that was made today, Really. As a matter of fact, I just voted for the Academy Awards, and I didn't see a film as good as this one. Forgive me, but I didn't. And not because I'm in it.
Well, speaking of that, let me take you to April 17th, 1961, the Pantages Theater. Hugh Griffith comes out. The nominees for Best Supporting Actress: Glynis Johns in The Sundowners, Shirley Jones in Elmer Gantry, Shirley Knight in Dark at the Top of the Stairs, Janet Leigh in Psycho, Mary in Sons and Lovers, and in the words he used, and the chosen of these is Shirley Jones for Elmer Gantry. Did you have any idea when you were going there that this was going to happen?
No.
Did you have a speech?
No, I almost didn't even have a speech. I remember in the car with my husband, Jack Cassidy, and he said, well, what? I was the dark horse. I was really the dark horse because Janet Leigh had won every other award for Psycho. She got the Screen Actors Guild Award, she got the Golden Globe, you know, and I was nominated for those as well. But she won. And I thought, this is a joke. I mean, there's no way I'm going to win, you know. And so I barely had a speech. I remember in the car going to the Academy Awards, Jack said, well, you got to say something, Shirley. I mean, write something down, please. I mean, it's just... So I said, yeah, I guess I do. And I remember just jotting something on a piece of paper, you know. I thank Rogers, Rogers and Hammerstein and this and that and the other thing. And I remember that Richard Brooks said, you didn't thank me enough for that award. He said that to me. Yeah, he said that to me afterwards. He said, you thank Rogers and Hammerstein. What about me?
You also said something interesting in that speech. You said it was the greatest day of your career, but not your life.
Yes.
Which was an interesting choice of words.
Yes, my husband brings that up to me all the time. Why didn't you say it was the greatest day of your life? Because it wasn't. Yes, it was the greatest moment in my career, and still probably is the greatest moment in my career. But, I've had a very interesting feeling about the business I'm in. I'm grateful for every moment of it. I wouldn't have wanted to do anything else. I've had an extraordinary career, an extraordinary time, an extraordinary life. But it's my job. It's not my life. My life are my husband's 2, my children, 3 and a stepson, and now 10 grandchildren. So for me, being an only child, brought up in a small town in Pennsylvania, you know, those things were really what I lived for. But I had an unbelievable job. That was my job. Who has a job like I had? You know, I mean, and the fact that I was given a gift, and it was a gift, of being able to sing. I mean, I was singing when I was 6 years old. It was a gift. Nobody in my family ever sang. Nobody was in show business. And I was the youngest member of the church choir at age 6. So that's something I'm still doing, you know.
And when you went to New York at the beginning of your career, I heard you struggled for about 45 minutes.
Yes.
And then Rogers and Hammerstein signed you, and you were off to the races.
Yes, I was. Again, as I said, it's been an extraordinary time. I don't know whether any of you know that story. I'll try to speed it up some, because I know you've been here all night. But this story is an amazing story if you don't know it. I was on my way to college to become an engineer. Truly, I could sing, and I sang in high school, did all the local, shows. I'm from this little town near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and studied at the Pittsburgh Playhouse during the summers when I was in high school, and did all of that. But my love for animals was so great because I was an only child, and I wanted to be a vet. So I was on my way to college, was in New York City with my parents, age barely 18, 17, and this pianist that I knew in New York, I'd worked with at the Pittsburgh Playhouse, and he lived there. So I called him. He said, come on up, Shirley, we'll sing a few tunes. So I went to his apartment, and he said, listen, Rogers and Hammerstein's casting director is having open auditions today for anybody that wants to sing for him. And they did that about every 2 weeks because their shows, they had 3 shows running on Broadway then, and their shows ran so long that they had to keep replacing chorus people all the time. So they would have these open auditions. He said, why don't you go and try it? Now, I'd never been to an audition of any kind. I was from this little town of 800 people. And I said, I don't think I can do that. Come on. He said, yes,